now pass safe, reasonable gun control in the state of New York. Make this state safer. Save lives. Set an example for the rest of the nation. Let them look at New York and say, this is what you can do, and this is what you should do. This is New York, the progressive capital. You show them how we lead.
Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York State of the State today. Joining us now is Diana DeGette. She's a Democratic Congresswoman from from Colorado. Her district borders Aurora, Colorado, which is the site of last year's mass shooting in a movie theater. Her district now includes Littleton, Colorado, which is the site of the Columbine shootings as well. Congresswoman DeGette, thank you very much for being with us.
Rachel, it's good to be with you.
Are you encouraged, looking across the country, to that New York initiative by Governor Cuomo today, spearheading it not only as a governor but pledging to work with his legislature to tighten New York's already relatively tight gun laws? Are you encouraged by that today?
I'm encouraged by what Governor Cuomo's doing. I'm encouraged by my governor and my legislature, which convened today and immediately started talking about stopping this terrible gun violence. I'm encouraged by the White House's initiative. I think finally, after Aurora last summer and now the terrible tragedy at Sandy Hook, finally people are realizing that the American public, the moms and dads of this country, have to speak up. And I've been working on gun issues for 20 years, and I've never seen such a deep sense of outrage and a deep sense of commitment to doing something.
That sense of outrage and that sense of commitment, does that also extend to your constituents and the Coloradans that you talk to who are themselves gun owners, who may be hunters, maybe sportsmen, people who see themselves as pro-Second Amendment?
Oh, yes. You know, I'm a Westerner. I come from a family of hunters, and we respect guns out here. We use them to hunt. But people who I've been talking to, they can't understand why you would need an assault rifle or why you would need one of these assault magazines to go out hunting. I mean, a magazine that holds 30 or 100 rounds, you're not going to use that to shoot a deer. You're either going to use that for target practice or to shoot people. And frankly, the slight inconvenience to target hunters to have to reload that magazine is so slight that I think most Americans agree things like that need to be limited.
In terms of the White House initiative, which you said you are encouraged by, it was interesting today, Vice President Biden and Attorney General Eric Holder today met with victims of gun violence and advocates for gun reform. We know they're meeting with gun rights groups, including the NRA, tomorrow. But in that sort of brief photo op before the meeting started, Vice President Biden talked about the president's commitment to do something, whether or not Congress can get something passed, talking about taking a holistic approach that includes both legislation that they will try to push through Congress, but also executive action by the White House and by the administration where that's possible. What's your reaction to that?
I think it's great. I think after the 1994 assault weapons ban, a lot of people thought that, or there was a 1993 ban, and a lot of people thought that the Democrats lost Congress in 1994 because of that. I don't think that's completely true, but I do think it might have been partially true in some districts. What happened after that, I've been in Congress since 1997, is despite the horrors that happened, Columbine, which is now in my district, Aurora outside my district, Virginia Tech, on and on and on, a group of us have been working really hard, led by Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy of New York, to try to put some reasonable control on these weapons that only kill people. And we haven't been able to get people to work with us because they were afraid of the NRA. Now, what you're seeing from the highest levels is a commitment to a holistic approach, and I just think it's so far past time for that. I'm very encouraged by it.
I feel like there has been a sea change in the politics, and people who are still talking about the NRA being an absolute block toward anything even being considered are living in the past. That's how I read it.
I will say, I will say, Rachel, I do think that there are still members of Congress who think that the NRA is untouchable, but they're hearing from their constituents. 82% of Americans think that some of these things need to be controlled, and those 82% of Americans need to call their members of Congress, their House and Senate members, and tell them, even if they support Second Amendment rights and gun ownership, we don't need these assault rifles and we don't need these assault magazines.
Congresswoman Diana DeGette of Colorado, thank you so much for your time tonight, ma'am. It's really nice to have you here.
Great to be with you again, Rachel. Thanks.
All right.